Hi, welcome back. You're still watching Prime Morning here on Joy Prime. And my name is Razak Musbao. It's the Good Living segment. And today we are delving into drug abuse, a menace that is destroying the lives of many young people in this country. And my colleague did a beautiful documentary to tell the story of how many young people in this country are being affected by the use of drugs. All right, so we're going to bring you that documentary, and when we return, we will discuss how we can contain this issue, what we can do to help some of our brothers and sisters who are affected by this very menace. All right, so do enjoy the documentary. We'll be back, the discussion.
A silent epidemic festers in the shadows. This is beneath homes, schools, the vibrant markets, and busy throttle stations all over the country. It is a crisis that gnaws at the very fabric, robbing Ghana of its future, one youth at a time. In this documentary, I will take you on a journey to two neighborhoods in Kumasi, known not for commerce, but for addiction, desperation, and decay. Tinker Island and Colombia, the notorious drug hubs, as we unmask Ghana's drug epidemic.
When I do time when I say I dear me to me bonum no me de get kakra na e.
According to a report by the Global Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crime, domestic drug consumption in Ghana has become an underreported phenomenon. Health professionals working at state-funded psychiatric hospital estimates that about 10% of inpatients and between 20% and 30% of outpatient cases are now linked to substance abuse. The Narcotics Control Commission reviews that there are about 50,000 drug users in Ghana, with 35,000 as students from junior high, senior high, and tertiary institutions aged between 12 and 35 years. While the remaining 15,000 are adults, with 9,000 males and 6,000 females. These aren't just numbers, these are lives, futures, and the very soul of the nation hanging in the balance.
We've realized that, especially some of our neighbors, neighboring countries, they have these clandestine labs, and some of them have been able to come into the country and establish some of these labs that we are still using intelligence to find out where they are. You know, they are also producing these synthetic substances which are also destroying the youth.
These drugs being abused are opioids, popularly known as red, suspected cocaine, marijuana or weed as locally known, among countless others.
The use of opioids is very, very, very high. Mr. Speaker, conservative estimate, in every constituency, you can have about 100,000 youth engaged in the use of this opioid. So we have about 276,000 youth have been exposed to this use of opioids. Mr. Speaker, rhetorically, Mr. Speaker, the new opioid substance is what we call red. Mr. Speaker, unim red. Unim red. It is the new opioid substance that is being abused.
This is what leaves the Interior Minister, Muntaka Mubarak, worried.
Regional Commander, in the next 6 months, if you are able to do something for me, I'll be so happy. And I know the Zongo Mentioned Divisional Commander is here. You know, we have a place in Kumasi here around Alaba that is so unpopular. They call it Tinker. That's the task that I want to see. That to welcome me, to show that the Interior Minister is from this region. I want Tinker to be a thing of the past in the next 6 months. And I'll be very, very happy.
Our journey takes us deep into the heart of places tagged as drug hubs, beginning with Tinker Island. This hub has, for decades, defied efforts to be eradicated. I have met these 3 addicts, leading me into one of the many ghettos in the island, but they demand 10 Ghana cedis before taking the risk. They tell me that navigating the area requires a deep understanding of its unwritten rules. Here, drug dealers operate with an almost open defiance. Our aim is to engage them, to understand their world, and if possible, to spot the elusive cartel that fuels this relentless trade. It was a long journey to a very short distance, which is believed to help them blow the whistle. Finally, we have access to this uncompleted building where some of the addicts stared blankly and a few, despite the cameras, continued injecting, snorting, and inhaling while I engaged their masters to plead for an interview. Finally, we have been granted the permit to speak to some of the addicts. I begin with 26-year-old Rich Diddy, not his real name, who is already holding 2 tablets of opioid. This will be his second take for the day. He tells me that he started this in class 6 at age 13 after his friend introduced him to Tinker Island. What drug is this?
This one is a red.
Red.
225.
225.
Red.
Why?
This one is they call Unim Red.
Unim Red. Why do you take red?
Because I used to work. It make me work hard to do something like the thing I cannot do itself. I can do it very hard.
For 13 years now, Rich Diddy has been a consistent abuser of opioids, cocaine, marijuana, among others. He is also into alcoholism. He has been to the hospital and has been told about his poor health condition, but says he is unable to stop taking drugs. Seated next to Rich Diddy is 40-year-old ghetto lord, not his real name, who has been into drugs for 15 years now. Despite being a father of 3, he tells me his wife has rejected him because of his addiction. Ghetto Lord is a chronic weed smoker and he finds it difficult to stop taking drugs even in a day. He is convinced that very soon he could die.
I told me no joke. Yeah, wear cigarette. Like rough man.
I didn't know no way.
Tell me no. I'm put me a day kakra, but at long last, I'm my emre. They say cry there, I'm a boy, baby woo.
Baby woo.
Now they're quite of an order.
Unim so baby woo now.
I say to my young mobile, I'm to me for saying yay. You'll be born kakra.
Just across town lies Colombia, a name that conjures images of South American drug cartels, and perhaps rightly so. But in Kumasi's Colombia, the scent of burnt substances mingles with the stench of despair. We have our cameras down, filming secretly. We need a permit. These uncompleted buildings, abandoned by their owners, have been claimed, transformed into grim sanctuaries, or rather, prisons for addicts. The air here hangs heavy with the acrid smell of smoke. After some time, we are permitted to film. After doing so, we are allowed to enter the office of the ghetto. Despite the cameras, some are seen crushing tramadol tablets into fine powder using coins or broken glass, mixing it with energy drinks or codeine-laced syrups before gulping it down. Others roll marijuana in old newspapers or scrap pages from books, licking the edges to seal the joints. Nearby, others prepare heroin and other opioids, drawing the liquefied drugs into syringes, inhaling, sniffing, injecting, each method tailored to the high they crave. Today we've come to the inner perimeter of Colombia to interact with the gang members and the gang leaders themselves, and then find out from them the engagement or their act of taking in illicit drugs, what brought them here, and if whether or not they are aware of the consequences or the repercussions. 50-year-old Patrick is the president of the ghetto. For 32 years, he has been into drug peddling, moving from one ghetto to another, but now stays permanently with his friends at Colombia. Usually the most feared and highest of the crew, he oversees all operations from who gets which corner to smoke, to settling disputes over stolen slippers and missing sachets of weed. His cabinet A circle of addicts and dealers who nod vigorously to whatever he says.
My own 5, my warrior, my area, banana 5.
For how long, what shall I say, or shall I say, drugs?
Chain drug on 93.
1993.
1993, I'm chain drug.
How many years in your Cambo?
Cover 30 years. I check 2 years. I check.
Drugs, no, I had an room.
I had done 4 drug there, so about chain. I did be up a soul chain. I will say, I had done 4.
Let me be say, a drugs ban in near my ben, I would me fat.
Menum red. Oh, menum brew, menum cookie, menum apatashi, menum we. I did be a brew.
No ma, then a yo and I didn't crown on.
One of my aunt to a blabon or some uncas, however, we are saying. So, what do I have that? I don't know how Kakraka and this own alone, I was why Pusa.
In the ghetto, they have leadership, and then the hierarchy is very much important that you cannot skip. The ghetto leader himself is here, and he takes them through everything that they have to do, the regulations of the ghetto, and the ghetto president is also here. But the leader operates and gives out the drug. Let's interact with him. Ghetto leader.
I saw the Juma and yes, but you make sure say obi fire le ensign free baby emura ade nim a be haye
acheche de o nyina che we ye den
so a obi a won say so enye hwe so say bi cigarette ya twe na we so e ma no o ba bi ho ma say bi ni hia ujimu say o ble yeso ma ne pe pa. Yes, say you to be more bad now. What you know, say game 9 day akoso, and we say, your name was already as a book. We are your many politics, Adriane, we say me and be a didi, and I had a woman.
Knowing the repercussions of his action, he is worried about young people abusing drugs. He shared an advice.
No more ban, teen for no. Teen for now, mobile and man, and your man going is dangerous. A pan went free on a cocoa from my music. I draw 5 CD of Mammy good idea. When I'm to me slow, my button we are moment in mount. A foot on Tamano when they no. Yeah, I'm fat. Me say I cry, me say me super, no per cramesu. Me tuana misu. Kubolo life, it me them slow, motrama, drug, we and sandy and alcohol thing beer, any circumstances beer. Them the Yamidin slow. Mother, my mean to me cherry, no. Now, and yes, as a rainy shaman to me, I mean, them slapper, Muna, mean say, be a juma, mean show be a corner there, maybe them see me no, it's no, Americans, the women who they are. But the man say was Oberman who said, "Oh, ma, Ninshen, Munyam, Timber show my men, or ma, and
A major police swoop takes us back into the belly of the beast, the drug selling point of Tinker Island, which also serves as the home for some of the addicts. This then has become breeding grounds for hooliganism, crime and violence. Meet Vera, a young woman whose youth has been swallowed by addiction and is currently serving as one of the masters in the den. She's only 26, but the wear on her face tells a story of hardship far beyond her years. Night after night, she sells her body to buy the very substance that is killing her slowly.
If you say no, what Tinker Island?
If you are 1 day, for 3 years.
Why they do that?
Miss Nama be an amateur, fine. Not the what you me.
I'm not pay any of my band or fassa.
Oh, me sorry and chair dear by telling me the match.
When I'm to say I'm not pay.
I would then inquire when I met you. But it pain. Oh, body.
I didn't know Dinimo.
Vera.
Wow.
How back?
Oh, my man, papa.
Oh, mamma and papa, dear, or money, dear.
Na ede na wunye sika de beto enwe wo ye adwuma.
Oh, in your juma there by our body. So I never buckle no day. Oh,
Kwan be so na afa so de nye sika.
Miss Woody Bagako or body or Untimco Realia. It's a bia. Pema be do and I say, only year together. Or the to be a day. Amount. Apart from that, Untimca buckle or body and Colon Fatal.
DSP Godwin Ahianyo is the Ashanti Regional Police PRO.
The command has resolved to do or plan to undertake is forming a team, as in getting our men to be on the ground. So there's a possibility that the FPU base will be created. They will have an FPU base where our men will be there 24/7, so that they ward off these criminals and these users of these illicit drugs.
Now, it is a very big place. It is more of like a community on its own. That is what Tinker Island looks like. Now, you can see a gentleman who has taken lots of drugs. As a matter of fact, he's asleep. And you can see some of them, the addicts, all over this place. Even on their refuse dump, you can see substances. Some wraps are here, matches, cigarettes. And we've even spotted some items suspected to be cocaine, what they call the tie. And anybody you see here is an addict.
The Ashanti Regional Director of the Narcotics Control Commission, Samuel Yeboah, provides a sobering account of the country's escalating drug crisis. He highlights the proliferation of illicit substances such as cannabis, heroin, cocaine, methamphetamine, MDMA, and codeine, which have been seized in significant quantities between 2021 and 2024 alone.
When we're talking about substances abuse, if you're talking about those that are being trafficked into the country, they are basically cocaine, heroin, and sometimes methamphetamine. But I must say that when we are talking about substances abuse, there are so many substances people are abusing in the country. Okay.
Well, welcome back. You're still watching Prime Morning, and just gone by is that very heart-wrenching documentary on the state of some of our brothers and sisters who are caught up in the web of drug abuse. It is very unfortunate. And as a country, this is indeed an epidemic that we all have to rise and offer the needed support. This cannot continue to happen. This cannot persist because lives have been destroyed. If you look at the state of some of them, so unfortunate. There are fathers in there, there are sons in there, there are mothers in there, there are young people in there. And we're just looking at the data, and you're talking about between 10 to 17 years, 10 to 17 young people. You've got about 12.3% of them engaged in substance abuse. And that is worrying. It's pervasive in our secondary schools, in our universities, in our communities, and we need to ramp up efforts to try and clamp down on this. All right. Now, in studio with me is Mr. Ebenezer. He is with the Suicide Prevention Foundation. They have been doing a lot of work in this area because based on the research they've been doing, a lot of people who decide to engage in this unfortunate act of suicide are often prompted by the abuse of drugs. So he's joined me, and we're trying to also get in touch with the former CEO of the Ghana Mental Health Authority, and then also my colleague, Nana Boachi Adom, who produced this wonderful documentary. Eben, good morning. Good to have you.
Thank you, sir.
Wonderful. Really great. I mean, let me just get your first thoughts after watching this.
Okay.
Does it? I mean, you've been exposed to many people, but did this surprise you to any extent?
No, not really. There is a saying that the future of this country belongs to the youth. And just recently, when the president went to Japan for a certain summit, he was talking about Ghana is sitting on a ticking time bomb if nothing good is done. That's as in to support the youth, create employment for us. And in our geographical location, you could see the youth are very powerful and we are very important because in Ghana, we have the National Youth Authority, Ministry of Youth, and also the Ministry of Gender and Social Protection, who all comes in to support. But though I watched this documentary and I haven't been to Tinker Island before, but when you're walking on the streets of Accra, how you see people sleeping around, dressed, the way people are behaving, this is a no news. And from where I've stayed, from the experience I have had, issues of drug abuse, which is always popping up in my village, they are always fighting, vigilante group and task force from a group, my village, for example, called Citizens of Kusi, who try to counter back what they are doing. And it ended up into many fights. And I think...
But it's worrisome, isn't it?
It's very worrisome.
I mean, because if you look at the state of some of them,
it's very worrisome.
And you talk about the fact that these are youths of the country.
Yes.
Ghana's population is largely dominated by youths.
Africa, for that matter.
Africa, to a large extent. And to see some of these young people being exposed, their lives literally washing away under the influence of drugs, it is extremely worrying.
It is. And this conversation is also very necessary. And in as much as we tend to migrate from one place to other in seeking for employment, greener pastures and stuff, I think we tend to be more exposed to different stuff. In my place, for instance, where I think they do galamsey and stuff, people always trooping for businesses and stuff. When I was young, people do normally feel shy when they are being pointed at that you use drugs. But now you'll be walking on the streets and you see people smoking. When we vacated and we went to the house, I was in the house one evening and around my community, you could sense the sense of weed. And I appreciate this for not because I've used them before, but then I'm a pharmacy student, so I know how these things work. And I because of that, I think I went to my church, I'm a Methodist, so I went to my pastor's mission house to have some conversation. When we finished, I went to sit in front of our church service. You could sense around our church, you could sense the sense.
And I can attest to the story you're telling, because even in my neighborhood, I see the young people in my neighborhood, most of whom are unemployed, most of whom are living in an unstable family, and you could see the state of some of them, and nobody will tell you that these young people are using drugs. These young people are under the influence of drugs. Of course, I'm not going to mention the name of a colleague of mine, but whom I went to primary school with, until class 6. Today I see him, and you could tell his life has completely changed because of exposure to drugs. And I think for a lot of people who are watching us, and hopefully we'll love to get your comment on this very matter as we explore it and find ways we can address it. Tell us what the situation is like in your community. Tell us what the situation is like wherever you are. What do you see around among the young people in your area as far as abuse of drugs is concerned? Also share with us, what do you think the government can do to try and address this? And even as a society, as churches, as mosques, etc., what do you think we can do to try and help these people who are already into it, and also to prevent more young people from being exposed to it? All right? That is very important. I was just sharing the experience of my community where I live. It seems these days everywhere, you're talking about when we're growing up, people are shy, ashamed to be pointed out that you're using drugs. These days, they flaunt it.
And I think it depends. Are you from this Accra community or from a far place? Are you from Accra?
I'm in Accra here.
And I think here, people are much civilized than where I come from. And I think you are even talking about one of your mates, and I can count a number of them. When this drug issue popped up and they arrested the people involved, you could see people that I used to play with, my very good friends, who came on social media fighting back, that they were even threatening. One thing they said they are not even afraid of even the leaders of this country.
Great. Now, I have Dr. Kusi here on phone, Dr. Akwesi Osei, who is the former CEO of Mental Health Authority. He's joining us on phone, so we'll just have a quick conversation with him. Doc, thank you very much for joining us this morning. I mean, I'm sure you have worked in this space, familiar with the menace of drug abuse in Ghana. I mean, from where you sit, has the country done well in any way to try and clamp down on this very epidemic that we are facing?
Well, thank you very much. Good morning. Good morning to the audience. Well, we haven't done well. We haven't, in fact, it's not as other what happened.
And Doc, we're really struggling to hear you. Your line appears to be breaking on and off, and we'd really love to have the conversation. So if you can just reposition yourself so that we can get you. Yeah.
Is it better?
I think it's better now. So, Doc, why is this problem persistent? I mean, why you've worked in this space for so many years? Why are we struggling to clamp down on drug abuse in our country?
Well, the challenges are numerous. One, the government is itself not exactly very well committed. And what I mean by that is that the government is not putting in the requisite resources to enable the various agencies responsible for clamping down to do so. We need to resource Narcotics Control Commission for them to be able to go around to make sure that drugs are not available in the system. We need to resource the mental health authority for them to embark on the public education and also the treatment. We need to embark on massive public education so every individual will understand that drugs will not help us. And the individuals will also need to appreciate that if you have not entered it, don't just start it. If you just started it and you are not hooked onto it, just quit it. If you are hooked onto it, you realize that you can't quit on your own. Seek help. Very important. Now, this massive education is not only limited to radio or the media. Yes, the media is very important. But beyond that, we should also be able to go home to home, house to house, churches to churches, mosque to mosque, market to market, so that the education will be very massive. And then, as I said, we also need to be able to stop the importation of these illicit drugs. Or even if, the importation of these illicit drugs, and then to ensure that the Food and Drug Authority, the surveillance, becomes very, very prominent, such that you will not have clandestine laboratories and whatnot. So multiple factors should be brought on board.
Doc, just on the point about preventing the importation of these drugs, that's something that bothers me a lot. You know, every now and then we see narcotic control say they have seized drugs and have gone to ban them. And the first question that comes to mind is, how did they get into the country in the first place? Why do we continue to allow them to get into the country? And when they arrive in the country, then we say we have seized them, we're going to ban them. What do you think needs to be done to help ensure that we prevent their importation into the country? I'm not sure whether there are some special routes they are using to get into the country, but how is it difficult for us to unravel these routes and make sure that we put the necessary security there to prevent them from coming into the country?
This is the issue. So our borders must be very tight. So our customs, immigration, these areas, we must tighten them very, very well. But apart from that, there are also illegal use. So we should all put our parents all those. So very important. And then, when no matter what, if they come in, we should be able to handle the fact that quickly we recognize. So multifaceted approach.
Doc, what about the society, all right? Families, churches, NGOs, what can we also do to help, especially for, our brothers and sisters who are already caught up in it? What do you think we can do to help these people, these addicts in our communities?
We all have a big role to play. In fact, families have a big role to play. We know that people who go into drugs, part of it comes from parenting, comes from parental background, comes from family background. So we should be able to educate the families to appreciate that this thing is not the case. That is. And then individuals understand that will have a lot of your sense of mind, of body, your society. socioeconomic circumstances, drugs will harm us in a lot of ways. So this mass education should go to them all. And then the churches. Churches also have a role to play, so that the pulpit should be used to educate the youth, so they can stay away from that. The other thing is that we must incorporate it into a school curriculum. In the Ghana education sector, we must make room. I know that they will tell you that the curriculum is so tight that you will not have, but this is a very, very crucial area that we must make room for that. So if we get the children right from the childhood to understand the menace of drug abuse, I'm sure that when they go, they'll stay away from that.
I mean, Doc, this is really insightful, but also for individuals, again, who are in this very situation, what options are there for them to try and recover? I mean, you have been the head of the Mental Health Authority. What options are there? Are there hospitals that they can go to? Can you share something with us in that regard?
Very fortunately, these days, we are having quite a number of drug rehab centers. In the government status, all the psychiatric hospitals are well equipped to handle drug abuse, drug rehabilitation. So all the psychiatric hospitals. Now, every other hospital can even initiate their. So, in with a drug should approve any health facility nearby, and then they will direct you to the appropriate place. So, it's very, very important. Apart from that, we also have quite a number of private facilities, a number of private facilities in Kumasi also, in Takra, quite a number of private facilities. We should take advantage of this and approach them. What we should avoid is spiritualizing this problem, so that we begin to think that, oh, it's a spiritual problem. So instead of taking the person to the appropriate place for the appropriate care, we tend to calm them in the prayer camps, the churches and whatnot, and that will worsen the plight. Sometimes they think that if you are able to get this person to stay away from drugs for about 2 months or 3 months, the claim will go down. It's not true. The brain has strong memory for drugs. So once you are addicted, the addiction is there. So even if you stay away from it for 1 year without adequate treatment, you go to a place where it's available, and then the memory will come back and you get into it.
Yeah.
So that's very important.
Yeah. Doc, really appreciate your time this morning. Thank you very much for making time to share some thoughts with us. Dr. Akwasi Osei is the former CEO of Mental Health Authority, sharing some insight with us on drug abuse, how, very pervasive in our society. And Eben, let me come to you, quick thoughts on what Doc spoke about. But let me just also mention that my colleague, Anabuachi Yadom, has also joined us on Zoom. Anabuachi, I hope you can hear me. Good morning. I'll come to you very shortly. Eben, quick thoughts on some of the things Doc shared.
Yeah, so most of the things that Doc said is very true. In as much as I think the family themselves are also playing their role in a way, at times we shouldn't put all the blames on the youth. See, we are in a country, every year we are churning out people out of schools. Just recently, the health minister was talking about the fact that we have 70,000 unemployed graduates in the house. Someone has been in school for several years, say 3 to 4 years, and some even 6, 7 years, and the person is not having anything to do. Man, even access base is limited. So if I'm in the house, I have nothing doing. Someone approached me that maybe can I get him something? We are in the era of demand and supply. So and basic human sociology, I think we all need our physical need, our social need, our self-esteem, self-actualization. And as a youth, as a young person around 24 years, 25 years, who is stranded in having nothing to do, there's nothing ready to support.
So the economic conditions of the people is tied to it.
Yes.
The lack of jobs is contributing to this.
And we need educational reform too. Doc was talking about the fact that
we should include in the curriculum.
They have complained about them including in the curriculum. I think there are some things that we learn now that used to belong to Doc's era. You understand? Though there are many things are important, and it is good to know your history and stuff. Currently, we have issue of drug abuse in this country, and we learn social studies. I don't know how.
I learned about it in social studies.
But we didn't hammer on it that much.
That's true.
We just brushed through.
Just for academic purposes. Pass exams.
Yes. So We need educational reform. We need to give the youth, people coming out, a level of training that will help people.
Great.
So I understand. I side
perfectly side with Doc. Let me bring my colleague Nanabachi Yadom. Nanabachi, wonderful work. Really, really great work. I'm going to come to you, but I want us to just take another listen to the two ladies you featured in the story, the woman addict foul. There was one called Vera, and there is one also, another lady who was undergoing, what do you call it, was at the hospital, was going to recovery, and she was talking about the experience. But significant for me was how they ended up getting addicted. All right, let's listen to them, and I'll come to you.
Wait in Accra. Under the condition to keep her identity anonymous, she tells me how it all started.
It was through my ex-boyfriend. I was at Accra, and he was also a driver to one politician. So like the girl was having money. So anytime like I go there, you feel like we're having sex, just want to get high. And when I started with cigarettes. That's for more white, not knowing like you just mixed the cigarettes with the drug. So anytime I just take the cigarettes, it look different. If I just get out from that side, from her side, I go and buy myself my own cigarette, that more white. I take it, the taste also looks different. So one day I asked him, what's inside the cigarette that he used to give me? He said, oh, it's this. It's cocaine. It seems I took it for 2 years.
In a very sober mood, she admits that the recovery process hasn't been easy.
Hey, suffocation. Let me say to her, the way I'm suffering, you can ask the madam, the doctors, and the patients around here. I don't sleep at night. And even there's some fusion, if they put it on me, I will cry throughout before the fusion will just went up. It's like there is a soul inside my body. So anytime the fusion gets to my body, then it just starts to eat me.
For 3 years.
Why they do that?
Misina my be ana metena ne nche e fine no dem ochiche mi wura
Anope eniema be na wafasa
o me sorry nche de ba tani me de macho tai
honam te wo sen anope
wo de nya ne nko ade a honam metwetwe wo beti pain o body mu
edin be no mo dinim
Vera
wow
ma obako
o ma me no papa we
o ma me no papa de o munni wade
na ede na wunye sika de beto enre o ye adwuma
enya adwuma de ba oba de so de be bokro no de
kwa be so na fa so de nyesika
me so wo de be kwa ko oba de untimi nko wiale ese bia be ma be do wa na se onene ye together. Apart from that,
Anabachi, very moving, really moving. Just the last one, she mentions Thai. I want us to pick up from there. What she said, I'm not sure if I got it right. Thai, what is that? What was she referring to?
You got it right. That is Thai.
Yeah.
And Thai is what we know as cocaine.
Wow.
For them, they call it the Thai.
You asked her what she had taken early in the morning. Around what time was this?
So this was around 9 a.m. when we had moved into the popular Tinker Island area. And we bunched into her. When she saw us, she was trying to move out and prevent our cameras from capturing her. But we spoke to her, and she had confessed taking Thai as at 9 a.m.
Wow. Wow. And the other lady also, you didn't disclose her name, brilliant work. And I mean, tell us her condition also. Tell us more about her condition.
Well, that is Veronica, not her real name though, who was introduced into the use of illicit drugs by her ex-boyfriend, who at every point in time when he wants to have sex with Veronica would want to have her high and then himself also high. Well, Veronica was taking cigarettes, not knowing that the boyfriend had placed in cocaine inside the cigarette. And so I have something here, a paper wrapped like this. And so this paper you see here stands in for the cigarette. But then there's a way that they take out the foam from the cigarette and then inject it with cocaine and then syrups and other things. And so that was the thing that the boyfriend was giving to Veronica while she had thought that it was cigarettes. But then unfortunately for her, at the time that she got to realize that she was taking something exceedingly above cigarettes, she had gotten hooked and had gotten to the stage where she could not recover from her addiction. And that is what has led her into being admitted at the psychiatric unit of the Confanoche Teaching Hospital for about 8 months now, she's been receiving treatment, and then the condition or situation has not improved significantly. It continues to worsen while she struggles with her infusions and then her medication. The doctors not giving up on her, but making sure that as time goes on, she's able to recover. But that is her situation, being hooked to drugs by her ex-boyfriend who had introduced her into it.
And interestingly, I was just listening to some of them, the reason why they take it. There was a gentleman you spoke to earlier. He says he takes it and it boosts his energy to work. You know, a few of them also had their reasons for taking it. But can you just recap on some of the reasons, interesting reasons they gave for taking some of these drugs?
Well, some of them are hooked because they engage in some form of work that needs them to be energized. And for them, if they take these substances or these drugs, that is how they are able to gain their energy. While we health experts would vehemently disagree, for them, it is one thing that boosts their energy for them to go about their duties. And it is all about them getting energy to do their job. And then it is for craving satisfaction. You know that these drugs, especially for red, the one they call the 225, it is not a bad drug. It is for pain relief. And when they get into the mood of relieving pain and the satisfaction they get during the period, they do not want to get out of it. And that is what leads to the addiction. And so when they want to relieve pain, they take the red 225, they get into a certain mood, according to them, a certain form of satisfaction. And after getting healed from that stress that they go through, which leads them to taking the red, they become their normal self. When they come into their normal self, or their normal situation, they do not like it. They want to get back into the situation or the condition where they feel so excited, that kind of relief that comes into them. And so they stick to the drugs and get addicted. And that is what leads them into remaining in these ghettos or dropping into these ghettos.
Wonderful. I'm going to come to you because I understand the Ashanti regional authorities have been doing some extensive work and you've been working with them closely on that. I'll get some updates on that. But let me come to Ibn in the studio. Ibn, he was just talking about the reasons some of them give for taking it. But then, as much as they get this temporary excitement, sort of, there are dire consequences to their health and even their social life. And even in the documentary, there was a man who was saying that he knows that if you look at his body now, he feels like he's close to dying. And my colleague asked him, why are you still taking it? And he said, wow, sure. And it is, I mean, I have some really strong words to use, but I have to restrain myself. And if you can listen to him briefly, if you guys want to listen to him, he said, I'm close to dying. And he asked, why are you still taking it? Listen to him, if you guys can get us the sound.
You be born kakra.
Oh, my 5. My worry, I'm a mere. More banana 5.
Help us appreciate, help us appreciate the impact that these kind of drugs, can have on their bodies.
Okay, so Nana Wachi made mention of the fact that they said anytime they take it, they're able to work well. Normally, this example, the red that he was talking about is made up of carridopressor and tapentadol, and they act on mu opioid receptors. And some of these receptors are found in the stomach, others are found in the brain. And the opioid receptors are the receptors that when the drugs are being bound to, you wouldn't feel the pain that comes. So, see, someone is a galamsey.
Makes you numb, sort of.
Yeah, it makes you numb. So, see, someone is a galamsey. The job is a menial job.
Tiring.
It's very, very difficult. So, I wake up early morning, I feel so uneasy. After I take this drug, I think it blocks the neuron transmission between the nerves, so I wouldn't feel any pain again, and I'm able to embark on my work. You understand? So
temporarily you are numbing yourself to prevent yourself from feeling pain. But what is the long-term consequences of this to your health?
In as much as you are preventing your body you are numbing your body from feeling the pains that come with it. Your body needs rest, and your body has its own threshold. Anytime you take this medication, it has a suppressive effect on the brain. So it means you wouldn't feel the pain again. So you will be able to go on your work. You understand? So if normally we have 12 hours to be working, and after taking the red, we're able to work 24, the wear and tear in the body will continue. And with time, it will destroy your system. He already showed. And the man's situation, for instance, the drug has a tendency, I think, when it's acting in the brain, there is a part of the brain that there is a hormone in the brain called dopamine. And this dopamine is the body reward system. It will prompt you whether you are tired or you can go on with the work you are doing. So the moment the drug enters the body, it blocks some receptors from reuptaking the dopamine. So the dopamines are always available in the body, and it keeps you going, it keeps you working. You understand? So the moment you stop taking the drugs and the drugs in the body are being washed off, the dopamine are then reuptake, and you start feeling the pain. And that's where they complain about the addiction, that they are going through severe pain. Now, the lady is not able to take the medication again. She doesn't get
the drugs again. So she's struggling to survive without it.
And she can't appreciate being okay for a very long time. So now there have been many accidents in the sense that they have been wear and tear in some joints. She was able to cope because she was on drug, you understand? Now the body is trying to adapt. So there have been a very big gap change. So that's why the lady is complaining so badly. And the more you continue to take this medication, I was talking about the dopamine, and it's the body reward system.
So fundamentally, you are taking this to try and numb yourself, to try and get some relief, etc. But on the long term, you are depleting your body's mechanism. Your immune system has been destroyed. Your mental health has been destroyed.
And there are some that even find their receptors on the heart.
The organs?
Yes. If you continue taking alcohol, the alcohol in a way can block the aldosterone. The aldosterone is part of a mechanism that regulates your body's water level. So should you continue taking the alcohol for a very long time, it will affect your body pressure.
Wonderful.
So they are all part.
It's amazing. This has dark consequences. It has dark consequences on your health. And you got to pay close attention to it. Nana Bachi, let me come to you on what the authorities in the Ashanti region have been doing. You've been working closely with them. Tell us more about it.
Well, first, let me start with the Interior Minister, the Honorable Muntaka Mubarak. He has done an excellent job in supporting us in putting this together. He has personal interest in curbing these drug hubs, especially Tinker Island. If you remember, when he was appointed minister, he came to Kumasi and asked the police to eradicate or move out Tinker Island as these drug hubs continue to expand. And so we first want to acknowledge him and the work that he's doing. It is under his ministry that we have the narcotics control, and in the Ashanti region, the narcotics control are doing so well to move out these drug dealers. While I do not really want to side with the fact that we have to be arresting these dealers, narcotics control are doing well with making sure that if they need help, if they need recovery, if they need reforms, they help them in putting all that together. And so for Ashanti region, the police are putting up soups to make sure that the robbery that they embark on is being seized, and then these hubs or these dens are stopped from expansion and stopped from bringing in young people especially.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much. We are going to pick some calls. You guys can hang in there. If they have questions for you, then we can direct it to you. I understand we have Nana from East Legon. Nana, what have you got to share with us?
Okay, so what I want to say is this epidemic is something that if we don't take care, it's going to get out of hand. You know, we must focus with the youth, especially from the ages of about 11 going. You understand? These are the people who are easily influenced by their peers.
Yeah.
Are you getting me? They start with alcohol, maybe beer, then it goes to cigarette, and then from cigarette, it goes to marijuana, and then it goes to something bigger than that. Once they get into the opioids and the cocaine levels and stuff, it's really, really hard for them to calm down. Are you getting what I'm coming from?
Yeah.
Addiction doesn't know who is rich or who's poor.
Yeah.
Addiction, when it enters your house, it destroys everything. It doesn't only have an effect on the individual, but it also has an effect on the family.
I mean, great. Thank you very much. Your point is well made. I think it's a very good call you've made there on all of us to try and do better. We have another call on the line now. You can call us. The 4 lines are active now. You can call us and let's get some thought from you on this very situation, and then we can see how best we can deal with this menace, because it's got to be dealt with. It's got to be dealt with. Have you got any striking recommendation you want to give to government beyond all that we have heard?
Okay. So thank you. The issue of drug abuse in this country, I think, is not perpetuated by the ordinary government.
All right, just Manuel is on the line, and then I'll come. Manuel. Hello, Manuel.
Yes, boss. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, my brother. Talk to me.
Yeah. I have certain things to discuss, and I don't really know. I cannot say much.
When you say certain things to discuss, what are you?
My concern here is you have to listen to the youth more than our politicians, our governments, our people in authority. You know, they were corrected and other, but they do not know that. But we were what they we're all this kind of another.
Manuel,
hello.
Yeah. Your line is breaking. Your line is breaking.
Oh.
Yeah, your line is breaking. Sorry, we couldn't hear you. But Nana, just final words. And I'm watching final words. I know you have to leave. Final words, then you can take leave of us. But brilliant work, by the way. Wonderful job.
This time around, looking at the staggering numbers of people who are engaged in the use of illicit drugs. And the numbers we have from narcotics control tell us that over 50,000 individuals are hooked. 35,000 of them are young people aged from 12 to 35. And they are junior high school students, they are senior high school students, they are tertiary students. What I am recommending to government is that looking at the testimonies and the first-hand details that we have from these consumers, let us expand the establishment of harm reduction centers across the country. It will sadden you that we have just one harm reduction center in the country, and it was established even in 2024 at Ewutu Senya. This is the first port of call for these individuals, even before they move to the psychiatric hospitals. They are the places that we have to send these addicts to. We have to make sure that for the reason why we have Act 1019, that is the Narcotics Control Commission Act, we are making sure that we make sure that the role that they have to play, the Narcotics Control Commission role that they have to play, are being played well. Let us make sure that these people are not just arrested, but they are given help. They are giving recovery processes. We have to expand the establishment of antidotes across communities in the country so that somebody would not just move from one community and come to Konfana to psychiatric department to seek medical care. If the person is hooked at Menchia, there's a community with antidotes that he can go to seek medication. First-hand medication is very much important because the stage that they begin from before they get to this level is where we can control it. But here, it becomes very difficult for us to deal with it. So this is my little advice to government for all of us.
Wonderful. Nana Boakye, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I'm sure Nana Boakye, we're going to elevate this conversation. On Thursday, there's a national dialogue on this very subject here on Joy Prime and Journeys at 6 p.m. So you can make it there. But I understand Boakye is also joining us from Kumasi. Then I'll come to you, Eben, for your final recommendation. We'll wrap up the conversation. Boakye, Great. Boachi, we've lost him there. Well, yeah, you have a recommendation for government, then we can move on.
Yeah, I think government itself is not only the politicians.
Yeah.
We are part of the government. And Boachi was also talking about the fact that the youth must also own up. I think what we need to start with, especially the media spaces, in some countries, the media spaces are very, very, very kept, and they try and make sure that they always portray themselves to be very good people. Example, barely will you see something bad about countries like China and stuff, but they are the same people that come to Ghana to do the galamsey. You understand? There are some media spaces that bring people on shows like that to interview them. Someone can come on media station, brags about something he didn't achieve. And we saw what the FBI and are doing. So the media people are the first people. And you are the only people who can partner with us. Please, do you understand? And thereafter, we look at the Ministry of Communication, this technology and stuff, how they can care, make sure that you're only showing positive things. Because he was talking about the fact that the drug abuse starts from a very tender age. And there is a research that from 8 to 17 years, the research was done just last year, and it cut across Ghana. Around 4,144 people, 12.3 were into substance use. And
that's worrying, really worrying.
That's very worrying. And it starts, this is how it starts. Normally it starts from cigarettes. When you are moving out, you might see some sticks of cigarettes. So
and they will be taking piece. So government needs to intensify their effort. The media needs to be a bit more circumspect. Government, as far as managing content, especially on the new media, it's very, very crucial to work in that area. And all the authorities who are enforcing the laws must also intensify it.
And I think we need to also train more people. As I said earlier, those who are into this drug business is not the ordinary Ghanaian. A normal person who gets around 3,000, 5,000 a year can raise around 10 million Ghana cedi.
So we should go after the kingpin.
We should go after the
kingpin.
We should do that
with them ruthlessly.
And we should make it in a way that any person who is able to bring that perpetrator, that kingpin before the law courts, in a way must be given something. And I think it will really encourage all of us to do that.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
It's been a great conversation on drug abuse. Natana Lato is joining us for sports, but he's got some thoughts on this very one. Troubling situation.
You know, it's a good thing that we're taking this up here at the Multimedia Group, and I'm looking forward to that conversation later on. Now, Musbao, it's interesting. We've brought some statistics in here and all of that. For me, all I always say is that we need to start looking at our problems from where the drivers are. What are the causative factors, and which institutions, which aspects of our lives as a people are the biggest contributors to this big problem. Now, not too long ago, I had a conversation on this seat with the president of the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana, Dr. Sam Donko. And we're also talking about how these opioids infiltrate the system, okay? So this is going to be a combined effort. The Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana, the Food and Drugs Authority, the Narcotics Control Commission, and then of course the health authorities as well. It has to be a collaborated effort. We can't leave the fight for just maybe civil society or the media to fight, because there are institutions whose work are intertwined around, drugs and their circulation in the system and eventually their abuse. And also, away from all these other institutions, we need our religious bodies as well. We need our churches. And then we also need other institutions of socialization. Our friends in theater art, the legendary Uncle Ebu White, Latif Abubakar, and our very own George Quay have been putting together some very good adapted plays. Not too long ago, when we were planning for this conversation, I remember it struck me that we can start using those channels as well as a tool for education, so that we can gradually start sending a certain message and push for social change.
Yeah, that's very important, very, very important. And in fact, one of the addicts in that documentary had even an advice for the young people. He's an addict. He said if he looks at his life, the state of his life, he said to the young people, please don't come into it. He was literally begging them. All right, we're going to hear from him. And after that, Nat will bring us the latest in the world of sports.
Dangerous. My partner went free fee. On a cocoa from my mean, I draw 5 cedi. I've made good idea. When I'm going to me slow, my button, we are moment in co. A foot on Tamano when they might know. Yeah, I'm fat. Me say akwa metena o say me say me soup no pa akwa mesu. Me to na mesu. Be kubolo life. It me dem slow mo trauma drug we and sand and makotin bia any circumstances bia. Dem di nyam din slow mo de ma me to me chere no. Na anyes as e we ne she me tin me am ni dem slepa me am nyina. Me say obi adwuma nchi obi akono de me dem se manya no ho nti manya no ho na America no se wunya no ho ya be dem me pane se wo so oba manya no ho se oma ne hye no nyam na timbe hwe o ma me ne oma ene onu am